on slides is super important. So yeah, so um, this is my education EDFX 1500 presentation, work in progress, about EdTech tools and the different types that are out there, and I guess the purpose of them and how they can be used in school settings. And yeah, so this is kind of like an introduction to the various types around. The one I'm going to be focused on is this one called Piktochart. And um, I really like this one in particular as I did more research because it's similar to Canva in its purpose and in its final product. However, I find, especially between Canva and EdTech, I mean Canva and Piktochart, Piktochart is something that is, I guess, more user-friendly, more of a wide age range. And so I'm going to go into that. So as you can tell from my slide titles, these are very much working in progress titles. So EdTech tools in my classroom. So EdTech tools are websites, programs, apps, etc. that can be utilized as is, that's supposed to as is, as or utilized for education. And that's a very important um, differentiation to difference. That is very specific differentiation to make to be utilized as or for education, because a lot of the things that we use for ed tech are things we don't even think about, things that we don't even think about as ed tech tools, but they are. Um, or ones that are made just for education, which we kind of think are ed tech tools, when really multiple things can be used for education. And that's why ed tech tools are so, it's an umbrella term. It really depends on how the educator uses it, but also how the program and stuff is usable. Um, yeah. So the point of them is for the introduction and fostering of technology literacy. So this is super important, especially when it comes to Indigenous education, because historically we wouldn't have the most up-to-date or access to technology. So when we talk about ed tech tools and we talk about Indigenous education, this is really meant to kind of address the gap that exists. And it's a lot of, I'd say, like condensed fast learning when it comes to technology literacy within education. But examples of these are like Kahoots, which is like a very fun, I think almost every class, especially in K to 12, now uses Kahoot as a way for reviewing, which it's a quiz. Like it's a fun quiz thing, but like the way educators use it is now as review, as content review. And it's become a fun way to do that. Or even Word. Word is just a word processing and like for typing. However, we are able to use that as an education tool to help with that what's that, from traditional and paper literacy to technological literacy, which oftentimes um, are seen as separate, but they can be one and the same. And for a lot of Indigenous education people and learners, that idea to words is sometimes a barrier. And yeah, so when we go back to technology literacy, that kind of helps the accessibility and that technology gap in Indigenous um, education systems. And another last example would be Google Classroom. So things that we use. Um, it is an ed tech tool, and as we found out through COVID, it is very important to have a hub for your students to go to. So even that's an ed tech tool that really didn't exist or was utilized um, before, but due to X, Y, and Z advancements and policy development, it has now become something that like almost everybody uses, especially in the higher grades or higher learning. And this is something I found that is like encapsulates ed tech better than I can do it. So the left is like my words, the right is from the Best Ed Tech Tools, the 2023 Ultimate Guide to Technology in the Classroom, written by Virginia, 2023 last year. So EdTech tools, they are user-friendly and can enrich learning in a valuable way. In other words, they are not just another bell or whistle for a techie class. They actually enhance learning in ways that would not be possible without technology. And that's a very important part. They actually enhance learning. And that's kind of what I guess a lot of ed tech and digital things are combating is, are they actually learning, or is it just like something flashy and fancy? Done in the right way, it can actually enhance learning. Plus, by engaging with each of these platforms, though certainly not all at once, kids can build their tech savvy, learn about online safety, and increase their digital literacy. So again, the things that kind of summarize are like right there. Um, Here's the who, what, where, when, why, how Piktochart. So when I do make slides, I always kind of address the 5 whys and 1 H. Even when I do my own personal planning for like where I'm going, I'll always kind of follow this and be like, this is my basic introduction to what chat is, chart, Piktochart is. And it is an online infographic application which allows users without extensive experience as graphic designers to easily create professional grade infographics using theme templates. The program provides tools to add interactive maps, charts, videos, and hyperlinks. And this is from the Piktochart tutorial in 2021, written by Brown and all. So this is something you find on the Piktochart website, is that definition. But another thing that I wanted to talk to about Piktochart is its uh, user friendly universal interface, in which that if you sign in from one, like say your laptop, your iPad, and your phone, it will kind of um, it's easier to start and stop your work, kind of in similar ways that other cloud things work, because it is a hub centered sign in. You can access it anywhere, which is also goes into the accessibility portion. Um, and as somebody who also looks at digital accessibility, this is something I'm familiar with. And um, kind of comparing the two, Piktochart does have a better, um, easier model for any grade level to approach. Um, and then I wanted to do a slide on why infographics. So why is Piktochart something that's included in an EdTech tool? And as somebody who has different styles of learning, especially as a visual learner, um, I like visuals, I like pictures, but I also like the flow of information. And infographics are basically a chart, diagram, or illustration, as in a book or magazine or website, that uses graphic elements to present information in a visually striking way. And that is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, updated 2024. And something that I do myself, even in my like adult years, post-secondary research, is sometimes I'll look for graphics to understand like, okay, what am I seeing? And that'll sometimes be my first introduction to a content, and then I do my deep dive from there. And I found this really nice picture from Piktochart infographic. It's like why visuals like infographics are important in the classroom. And this is like something super important to look at any ed tech tool is awesome. It can be educational thing, but how can we utilize it in the classroom? And that is they help stimulate thinking among students, particularly in monotonous learning environments. So as like somebody with ADHD, I understand this 100%. Sometimes I'll look at information, I'm like, those are a lot of words. But if I look at this infographic, I'm like, oh, okay, so this person's with the spyglass, they're thinking, they're looking. And it allows for these students to kind of look and make their own connections via the visuals or the information. 2, they're great in capturing students' attention and interest. ADHD students or neurodivergent students like me, we get distracted by everything. So sometimes a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, or even this 1, 2, 3, have all the information we need right there. Or being distracted and coming back to it 1, 2, 3, and being able to go about. It's it can do a lot of things. And third is they encourage students to participate in class discussions. This is can infographics can really bridge the gap between taking in information and talking about information in that processing part. Infographics are able to kind of like bridge that and kind of be like a reference point for people to look at and process, whether it be through the visual or the words or the combination. Sometimes different learners or even teachers will look at these different things and it'll help start interest or help with the processing part of things. And it examples of infographics in the classroom or even things like posters. Posters are very much infographics. And that is the end of that one. Something I haven't added in yet is the different tutorials on how to use Piktochart. And the tutorial that I decided to kind of highlight was going to be the second one, and which is Piktochart tutorial, creating a visual in 4 steps. I would want to use this as the basic tutorial that I like kind of put in the slide that I'll have the class watch because it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. When it comes to videos, it is something that you kind of want to have as short and sweet as possible, like 1, 2, 3, for people to reference, so they can kind of like have a skeleton idea. And in this video, if I were to open the link, it goes to the Piktochart tutorial, creating a visual in 4 steps. And when it comes to tutorials on software, tutorials that you'll want to look for are things put out by either industry professionals, because they know kind of the process, they know the what efficient programs look like, and or from the people who made the program themselves. So a lot of the tutorials I included are from the official YouTube channel themselves, which is kind of goes back into ed tech tools that we use for learning is like YouTube. But this is only 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and I can play this really quick. Are you able to hear it?
Yeah,
Really quick.